We're back again. The number one podcast to ever exist, and unfortunately, the last one to ever exist. Wow,
it's the last
we
video game
finally made it.
podcast.
Yep, episode number 5. I never thought we'd be here. And some say we still aren't here.
I'm certainly not entirely here. It's so hot. But regardless, I'm maintaining and keeping my video card going really hot and running a game that I probably shouldn't be. I'm playing Red Dead Redemption recently, the second one, and it kind of blows.
Hold on.
Before we get into that, we should introduce our guest here, Jackson.
Hello.
Who the fuck are you?
Within the context of this environment, I think just a stranger. Streamo knows. Beyond that, just some guy.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm curious to
Real.
hear more about. Yeah, true enough. Who isn't? At the end of the day, just some guy.
I think you may have read a few of his backlog reviews if you've been around the block. I think writing there under, what did you name it? Is it just none?
I think, none.
Can you search people on backlog?
I actually don't think you can, but I can go to my friends list and find it.
Alright, I'll go to your friends list and... Okay. Alright.
Oh, wait, am I blind?
This is good.
Right. This is
This
good
makes for
content.
really good radio.
Good radio,
Yeah.
hell yes. Yeah. No, keep it going.
Alright, here
Oh
it
yeah,
is.
so I see here, the game I'm most unfamiliar with in your favorite games is Kentucky Route Zero.
Oh, yes. Well, it is astoundingly good. I don't know how to necessarily sort of expand on that other than saying as much. It's a game of poetry simulation, I guess you'd call it, some kind of like magical realist vision of...
So I think actually on the first episode I might have made fun of someone writing a review of it. Because it came off as very pretentious and...
It was just really sincere, and we don't,
It was very sincere, yeah. But I kind of wimped out of making fun of it halfway through.
It felt kind of mean.
It did.
Yeah, Kentucky Route 2. That game, I mean, the game has been in development for 6 years, right?
It had been in development for I think around a decade, and it was released, successively over that decade. But frankly, I think you guys are right to kind of lambast and poke fun at anyone attempting any kind of serious or sincere approach to these sorts of things. I think games as a medium are probably best suited for kind of juvenile perceptions of the world. They only kind of half articulate an understanding, and that understanding is just by design limited because these are simulations that are sort of tracking false contours.
I just think that to put that another way, maybe I'm just not smart enough to keep up with shit while I'm playing a video game like that. I kind of just want mindless pleasures, right? Just running around doing shit. I guess that's kind of myself being limited in scope. I don't know if that's entirely what you were saying.
No. You know what? Not you. I just think games generally as a form of expression.
I have actually a question further about your backlog here. You gave half a star to A Short Hike.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Is that sincere?
Yeah. No, I thought the message that game was trying to convey, a kind of boldly insincere perception of the world, was sort of offensive.
Oh God, I don't know. I can't tell if this is real or not.
I thought it was fun to fire out.
It took me a year to figure if Streamo's takes were real or not, and now you're doing the exact same thing. I can't do this. I can't do this, dude.
You called a latent, bitter disgrace hiding underneath a veneer of saccharine optimism.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, it was, as you described it, sort of mellowly fun, sort of pronounced air quotes around that word. But at the end of the game, you are a bird who leaves chemtrails around what is otherwise a quite beautiful island. I think that's a really kind of foul message that at the height of the experience, you just,
So kind of going off of that, I'm curious for your thoughts about Animal Crossing New Horizons, which I haven't played in a while. But so the thing about that game is that you have this ability to travel to different islands and kind of scour them for resources, chop down all their trees and steal all their like native flowers and just kind of leave them barren and never come back. I found that pretty distasteful.
I think you're definitely onto something. This is an actual take. I found that game to be like a malicious waste of time. It was perhaps one of the most egregious things I think Nintendo has ever done. I find a lot of their work really life-affirming, but there was something about New Horizons that really leaned into like a hate of the world as it is that I really don't abide by. The idea, I think the game was designed to like give players control, but what was so historically fascinating about Animal Crossing was that you kind of relinquished control and existed in this small world that was a simulation of a world that you really didn't have much agency in. It was about kind of like experiencing the passage of time in a way that was not. I mean, I actually think you're onto something. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons was not kind to humans or animals.
It's sort of like disrespectful, right?
So yeah, I mean, its treatment of space is this thing that's like endlessly mutable. If only you have like the money to kind of inject into your surroundings, I think was, I think it's presented as this like constructive way of viewing the world. Like, oh, I as a player can build. I don't know how funny this is. I actually just genuinely believe this. that game is like. It's not good,
where we tread is where the irony accidentally becomes sincere, and that's
it's a dangerous place.
That's the way to go. No, I kind of felt that way about Stardew Valley more so than New Horizons. Like New Horizons still had at least maybe a thin veneer at least of that overtime based gameplay, where like you tried to fix your island up, grow flowers and shit like that, but Stardew Valley, I feel like, is like crack. Like you just keep going. The day never. There's never a moment to take a break because the day and night cycle keeps ticking. You just have to keep playing and fucking taking care of your crops.
It's dystopian in a way, definitely.
Is the premise of that game too that you like leave a hyper-industrial society and all that you do end up doing is bring like hyper-industrialization to this farming community?
Yeah, just labor.
Yeah.
Well, no, because like you put this like JojaMart, like obviously like a Walmart type place, out of business, and you just kind of live in this little idyllic mountain town and like work all day long and kind of just make money.
And give people gifts.
Yeah, I guess you can get
So
married to
you.
people. Yeah, that part weirded me out. I never really got into that.
Yeah, I stopped playing Stardew because it stressed me out how I felt like sometimes I wasn't doing the most with my time, and that made me feel bad. And then I got a mod where it took away the time, and then I got bored and stopped playing.
I mean, your complaint there is one that points to this idea that if you're not hyper optimized, you're doing it wrong, which seems completely antithetical to the point.
Totally is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But the game sort of encourages it because it gives you like this feeling. I don't know if it's true or not, but it gives you this feeling like you only have a certain amount of time to get rid of JojaMart, or all your friends are going to become capitalists, and that's going to be awful. But maybe I'm just wrong.
No, does it have like a does it have a revolutionary tone to it in that way?
No. Well, video games aren't about politics, right? And that's why we don't.
I did think it was weird how like that one chick you could only marry if you give her the like Mao Zedong book and you recite the poems and shit like that.
Yeah, with the red book.
Yeah, and the George Bush stuff was kind of weird too.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that they had that George Bush weed farm, right? That was fantastic. Yeah, but no. So, do we have any listener mail this week?
Not really. It's a little too early. It's a little too early in the show for listener mail, anyway. I have some more things on your backlog here, Jackson. I want to discuss with you.
Please.
So, do you really like Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, 5 out of 5 stars?
Can I just interject for a second? The title is Metal Gear Solid V, The Phantom Pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it really 5 out of 5 stars?
Yeah, I genuinely believe it's one of the best video games ever made.
Do you buy into the theory that Kojima left the game half finished because it's The Phantom Pain, and you're supposed to feel the part that isn't there?
Absolutely, I helped articulate that theory.
Oh God.
Was this on the? Were you active on the Never Be Game Over subreddit?
I absolutely was. Yeah.
Wait, what's that? Hold on.
You can explain it actually, Jackson. Go ahead.
Yeah, tell me the lore. I need this.
The Never Be Game Over subreddit was a community of people who scoured the files of Metal Gear Solid V, The Phantom Pain, and Ground Zeroes for information or clues or the hints of an ARG, because people were so schizophrenically invested in there being more to this video game that they, psychotically trawled through machine code to see if something was hidden. And actually, a couple of things were hidden within the game files. Not enough to kind of warrant the loss of, time on this Earth, which people inevitably experience. But there was there were machine files for like an MSX game, like I forget what the game is called, like Portopia or something. It's like the Portopia mystery or something to that effect.
I thought there were like MSX files for Metal Gear Solid. For Metal Gear 2.
Is that true as well? Oh, there we go. Yeah. So people went through, and apparently that those game files synced up within like the game space in what people perceive to be like an interesting way, or like because there had been an MSX within some of the cutscenes at the end of the game, that there might be some kind of sort of extended meaning to this. And I think there is, probably, but again, to kind of validate whatever they were doing on Never Be Game Over is a little bit too sincere, I would think, a little dangerous.
So the origin of Never Be Game Over, obviously, is in Metal Gear Solid V, The Phantom Pain. You encounter these child soldiers, one of which I believe is the young Liquid Snake. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Correct.
Yes, so the young Liquid Snake, and he is wearing an army jacket that has Never Be Game Over written on it. In a way that, is kind of cool and stylish. So I think that kind of popped off.
Yeah, the phrase itself has this kind of poetic double meaning, right? Because Liquid is always kind of attempting to persist in the face of his genetic inferiority, or his perceived genetic inferiority, but then it's also like, outside of the context of the video game, to never be game over is to kind of maintain this sense that there is some, sense of play, so to speak, persisting in the real world, or within a realer world, which is to say, again, the machine code, or the code itself of Metal Gear Solid V, The Phantom Pain.
Sure. I think what's crazy to me is, like, the past couple of days, actually, I've been thinking about Metal Gear Solid V, and, like, the insane things that happen in it, and just, like, there's Metal Archaea, there's Sahelanthropus, isn't there's another weird word for the vocal cord bacteria, right?
Wolbachia.
What?
The Wolbachia.
What? Yeah, yes.
Yeah. It's like bacteria.
Yeah.
Respond to phonemes or whatever. I mean, it's the premise of the game is so. I honestly think Metal Gear Solid 5 and Kentucky Route Zero have a lot in common with one another. I think they address contemporary issues of like decay, but where Metal Gear Solid tries to approach it from the perspective of like that particular game attempts to approach the decay of culture through media. Kentucky Route Zero makes an effort to approach that, theme of decay through like infrastructural collapse.
Well, so what is the gameplay in Kentucky Route Zero again? It's like is it just a visual novel?
It is basically a visual novel. Yeah, it's that, but there's really almost no. There's not really any like causality. It's not like you're like choosing what feels most poetically appropriate to you. It's basically just dialogue trees all the way down and like theatrical vignettes to accompany those. But it's very good.
I played a game that you might like if you were a fan of that. It's called Dear Esther.
Here's an interesting take. The writing in that game is not terrible. It is kind of overwrought, and it being overwrought would not necessarily be terrible in another context, but it is completely incoherent as a video game.
I don't like how slow you move in Dear Esther. I think you move too slow, and that's why I stopped playing it after 15 minutes, because I had to walk somewhere, and I was like, this is taking a long time.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that. I think you're right in the sense that game lacked like bullet hell mechanics and any sense of like kind of progression.
I mean, and even just like incremental. Like, give me a cookie clicker knockoff I can play while I'm holding W, and I think I would have liked it a lot more.
I think those games exist.
Yeah, I mean that's what like Diablo is, right? It's just like you hold the button and numbers.
I'm proud to say that I've never played a Diablo game.
Me neither.
I guess technically, I think I played a few levels of Legend of Grimrock 2. Does that count as
no? That's a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
That has like mechanics outside of numbers go up. So
you're telling me Diablo is not a dungeon crawler?
No, it's an ARPG.
Interesting.
So Diablo is about like holding down right click, and I think to reuse an expression, Dungeons of Grimstone is about selecting the right menu option. So it's sort of different there.
That's like a Pokemon game.
Yeah, it's a lot like Pokemon.
Oh man, it's so insane to me that people in the current year are going to purchase Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
I'm thinking about it.
Like, be disappointed with it.
Okay, but like as a child, right? I liked Diamond and Pearl. So now, as a nearly 27-year-old adult man, I should still continue to like those games, right?
Well, the thing is, you shouldn't have liked them as a child in the first place. You should have liked the first 3 generations like a correct person.
I liked those too. I liked all of them.
4 had really astounding music, Diamond and Pearl, 4th generation.
I could never get into it. I feel like at the later generations of Pokemon, it was over orchestrated and sounded too much.
It had the snow. You could travel through the snow mountains, and I remember that. And the frame rate was really bad, and I remember that too. And that was cool. I like that.
Yeah, they definitely do have low frame rates, which is cool because they choose which console they get to develop on exclusively. So it's not really like being.
Are the remakes going to be a Switch game? How is that going to work?
Are they not?
That is the idea, right?
Yeah. They come out for? What do you think they're going to be on 3DS? Okay,
I don't know. I guess I never processed it. It would be on Switch. They have to make it so much better if it's going to be on Switch, right? They have to. I mean, if it's going to be on, you know what I mean? It's going to be on a console.
On a real console, yeah, because they wouldn't release a mainline Pokemon console game that had horrible FPS and that shit. Yeah.
Well, this doesn't look bad. I mean, it looks.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like those Pokemon games to begin with. So, but speaking of good music and chiptune music, I think Omori has a pretty great soundtrack. I recall that you made an Omori review on Backlog that popped a little bit, Jackson. At least got a couple people angry.
It did, I guess, get some folks a little upset. I think the complaints I made about that game were totally valid, but people seem to disagree. The music was actually quite good, though. I did. Despite the fact that it was, just aped from the lo-fi, hip-hop, and chill genre of music,
Also, several tracks were just directly stolen from Yume Nikki, which is fine, I guess.
Hey, we're all Omori haters here. You can say it if you want to, dude.
Yeah.
You can just call it as it is. I mean,
it just probably could have been a lot better, but it's okay. It is what it is, which is.
You didn't finish it, right? You got a decent, a couple hours in.
I didn't finish it. It was very dull, but I know what happens, and I was not enormously impressed by. I couldn't. I quit at the. There's this extremely annoying character. You must know what I'm talking about if you played it, because it's
Sweet Sweetheart, right?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's funny. I think we discussed this maybe even on an earlier episode that I think there are two kinds of people. It's people who think Sweetheart is funny and people who think that she's really annoying.
Yeah.
It's like a genetic difference.
It's something it's like cilantro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, but I can understand why someone would like cilantro, because I can process it would be a different taste in their mouths, but I don't. I can't understand how you could, it's just waste so much time, and I don't understand how you could be yeah, this is good, I like this.
Yeah. I just think, too, it's such a traveled genre, right? So if you're going to come out with it, you got to do something that's really great, like Undertale.
You got to be better than Lisa.
You got to be better than Lisa. Yeah, it's, not that difficult.
It's not. It's not that hard. Just make the game fun to play, and then I ignored the writing anyway because it was bad. But then if you make the game fun to play, I can deal with that because I am simple-minded. But if even the simple-minded person such as myself couldn't like the gameplay, then what are we doing here?
I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I think I mentioned earlier. And,
speaking of simple-minded things.
That's the thing. It's I really just want to get into the simple-minded, basic gameplay of it, of walking through the forest and hunting shit or whatever.
Yeah, you think that. You think you can do that, and then there's lists.
It's just there's so many stupid cutscenes, and they're jerking themselves off about how amazing the writing is. The name of the first chapter is so pretentious. Hold on. And the thing is, it reminds me quite a lot of Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Mostly in the world design, right?
How do you mean? Big and empty?
No, I mean it's primarily that you're traversing this world filled with lush vegetation and whatever. It's sort of well designed, and there's some evidence that there are other people here, and sometimes you have to run from people. It's a world that's populated and alive, at least ostensibly, but the world in Death Stranding is so much more meaningful to go through. You actually feel like you're doing something, whereas in Red Dead, it really does kind of feel like you're always just going to the place to do something.
Yeah. I mean, the world exists in Red Dead Redemption 2, I think, one, to have, random encounters happen, and two, so you can get to a place where something else is happening.
Oh, here we go. The name of the second, scene of the first chapter of the game is called Enter Pursued by a Memory. Fuck off, dude. It's not a stage play, right?
It would have been cool if they made it like a stage play, though.
Honestly,
make it kind of surreal. That would have been cool.
The main way I've been able to stomach the cutscenes is by just kind of projecting that everyone in it is gay, because it does kind of read like that. So many of the cutscenes are just I was so alone until I found you, Dutch, and then now the nights aren't so cold. Like, literally, that people say shit like that, and it's because I guess they're supposed to be cowboys or whatever. But yeah.
Wait, that's a game about cowboys?
Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah, is that what they are?
Yeah.
Well, they're outlaws. They're not really
like
cowboys.
Outlawed, but they're Wild West guys.
Yeah, but they're not I mean, they're not cowboys.
I guess I never really thought about it as cowboys, but I guess.
Well, they're not.
What else would they be, right?
They're outlaws. They're not. They're cowboys are like that's a job. That's a profession people had. You work with cows.
Okay, when people say
Cowboy.
Cowboys and Indians, though, they're not talking about like.
Well, yeah, I mean,
profession.
Listen, that sounds political, so I don't really want to get into it.
Honestly, okay, that's the other thing about this Red Dead Redemption 2 game is that they make reference to all of these things that kind of characterize the idea of the Old West. These like random bombers. They drop the word Pinkertons a few times. These people are outlaws. All of these things are actually, explicitly political things that happened. They were, labor movement and organizations and struggles of like people who worked in mines and just kind of died against the, people who owned the mines and shit like that. And I'm pretty sure that's all just going to be completely glossed over in favor of like, well, I may have killed all those people, but dang, I gotta save you. Like that kind of dumb shit.
Yeah, well, I guess like the takeaway is like they're Pinkertons, so it's okay if you kill them. I think that's as far as it goes.
Redacted, right? I'm not necessarily going to address that, but no, I mean it's like they talk about Pinkertons, but they don't really talk about what Pinkertons are.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting topic that we need not necessarily get into here, but
I mean, yeah. I guess the thing that Red Dead Redemption 2 is really missing is like a Trail of Tears scene. I trust Rockstar to handle that maturely and sensitively.
The thing is, actually, if you go into the game files, it's titled Modern Warfare 2 Airplane / Trail of Tears mission. I don't really know what it is going to be.
That's weird. Yeah, I mean, I tried to play Red Dead Redemption 2. I think I played for like 20 hours, and then I realized like all I was doing was unlocking more checklists.
Sure.
And that really, really gave me an existential crisis, and I had to stop playing the game.
That's actually
it's just too much.
Why I had to stop playing Pokemon games, more or less.
Yeah, but I mean, Pokemon games, I can resign myself to like never catching them all, but you put a checklist in front of me, brother, and I gotta do it.
Well, no, but it's not. It's like the checklist is get through this battle by picking all the right menu options, right? And then you do that. But yeah.
What games don't? What doesn't boil down to like a series of checklists, though?
No, but it's so like apparent though. It's like there's literal checklists, and there's like so many. There's so much capital C content in that game, and I feel like I had to experience it all, or else I wasn't.
Oh, okay. I thought by capital C content, I thought you meant like when there are these great cinematic cutscenes of the. Your game traveling through the storm or whatever. Yeah,
was that a cutscene? I thought I played through that. I thought I held it forward on the left stick.
Maybe you held. Well, I think actually no, because in Rockstar games the way that you move is by tapping A.
Do you tap A in Red Dead Redemption? I don't remember.
Yeah, like to make your horse go fast, I think you have to tap.
That's awful.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't really know.
Why did it do that?
It's crazy.
Well, if they just made it like Death Stranding.
Literally, yes, it would have been so much better. Somebody should port Red Dead Redemption 2 to Death Stranding.
Someone should. Then it could still have nonsensical cutscenes, but it'd be cooler because it's Kojima.
Jackson, have you watched very many Christopher Nolan films?
I think I saw the Batman movies.
Okay. So I have a theory that Nolan and Kojima kind of share a brain, at least to a certain degree. Because both of them have a... sorry?
Like in a vat? Are they like plugged into some like... What are like the technical specs of a shared brain?
I think it's just that, maybe their brains are identical in certain ways.
Okay.
They both just have this penchant for things that are overly complicated in ways that don't really make sense, but don't really need to because it kind of rocks. I saw that a lot in the recent Tenet movie, which I thought was amazing. But also, in Death Stranding, there are tons of cutscenes where just weird nonsense happens. So, I'm kind of into it.
I kind of like the weird nonsense, though.
I think that there's... Dinner, talk.
This is the part where we just make noises into the microphone.
Does this happen?
I'm
curious because like operating over, you guys aren't in the same space, right?
No, God no.
Well, so I feel like dead air is less prone to occur when people are kind of like viewing other people's like physical cues. So I'm curious, like, does this happen a lot?
Yeah,
I mean,
we try and keep it
as well.
Keep it going.
I'm still reading backlog reviews, so I'm sort of half paying attention to it.
Oh, okay.
Classic,
Yeah, I kind of gave up on that because I figured I wouldn't be able to find anything interesting.
I'm gonna find one, brother.
The other route is to check on the backlog Discord, where they, people will post their own reviews, and then you can kind of make fun of them not only for writing a bad review, but for being proud of the bad review that they wrote.
Why does backlog exist? Like, who put that together? Who put it together? What's the impetus behind it? Like, who genuinely thought that was something that... Because I don't get the impression that it brings in an enormous audience. I don't think there are new users regularly. It seems like it's very... Well, yes.
As I understand it, it's like one guy kind of runs it. I think there was a Kickstarter for it at some point, and I think it literally is just Letterboxd for video games, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, like, gamers like lists, right? So if you make a website where gamers can put their things into lists and then put numbers next to them, they're gonna like that. I mean, it just sells.
Especially because on a certain level, it becomes a dick measure contest, right? Where
absolutely, yeah.
I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
You haven't played Dr. Crumble's Ghost to Shit Creek? All right, dude. Don't talk to me about Omori.
I'm just pissed because it doesn't have all the hits on it. I tried looking up some old Flash games in the database. In particular, there's an Adult Swim game that came out around the time Farmville was popular. That was called, I believe, Hemp Tycoon.
Yeah.
And it was where it was just like Farmville, but instead of other plants, they were all just called weed, different kind of. And it was a lot of fun. And it's not on backlog as far as I know.
You could message the moderators and they'll add it. Have you been playing anything beside Red Dead Redemption 2, or is that, do you like it, or is that, I don't know.
I play it here and there. I actually also played a little bit of Golf Story.
Some more of that, yeah.
Yeah, which I really did think was going to blow because people are talking about how it's emotional RPG or something like that. But no, really, it's just golf. You just get to golf. It's pretty nice. Fucking shooting the ball, trying to get it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean in the hole, right? It's not somewhere. I think you know where you're.
Well, sometimes you have to hit arbitrary targets, to satisfy whatever game challenges. Other times you're actually throwing. They throw in some disc golf, which I'm actually not a huge fan of.
Like in real life or in the game?
Yes, because both actually. Mostly in real life, only because of the game. I thought it was just going to be ball golf, but instead it had some disc golf.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? Because if you try the disc golf in Connecticut, the disc will melt in your hand, so you can't really.
Connecticut is the hottest state in the union. I think that we all know that to be true.
You can't really play down there.
Yes.
It sounds like it's getting apocalyptic over there. Is it so? How hot is it?
I mean, right now it's not even. It's 87 where I'm sitting.
But it's the humidity. It's not.
It's the humidity
that's what melts the plastic.
I noticed at one point, Farm, that you said that we kind of don't have the listener mail. What exactly does that mean?
Well, we have one piece of listener mail from last week, and I responded to it. but I guess I could read it out here. It's sort of a meta piece of listener mail.
Okay.
I don't know how to say this person's name. I guess it might be French or something, so I'm going to say and this person says, "Hello, Last Video Game Podcast. Avid listener of the podcast here. I'm writing to you today to voice some concerns I had about the titling and descriptions of your recent episodes. I found
Okay, I think actually we don't really need to go into this one.
I found your podcast on Spotify and decided to give it a listen. I was quite confused that the titles of episodes 2 and 3 were switched. I do not understand why you chose to do this, and it upset me to a great deal. I also didn't enjoy how your guest on episode 1 kept talking about, quote, Foxbane privileges. I don't really know what that means. Oh, I don't know what that is what they said. When I said I don't know. Could you perhaps explain it in the next episode? And that's it.
No.
Is this real?
Yeah.
You're not, like, you didn't write that?
I didn't write that.
Okay.
We have a huge following here.
Yeah, it's a pretty big show, so it's not. Yeah, so I don't know, Streamer, do you want to like go into? I mean, I know you do all the titles except for the ones that I do. So
right.
If you want to maybe explain.
So I'm actually happy to address this. I'm glad that you asked the question, and if you have any further ones, you can definitely send them to the listener email at lastvideopodcast@gmail.com, and we will.
Sort of not what I said in the reply email, but I guess. I guess you can.
Okay. Yeah. I was kind of hoping you would, throw something in to follow up from that. But.
No, I mean that's sort of the exact opposite of what I said to this person. So yeah. So actually, don't write in with dumbass complaints like this. All right, or there's going to be issues.
Oh, okay. Well, because the thing is, I don't have to read these things, so I could give a shit,
yeah, but also please send in more emails.
Yes, yeah, we need more content.
Yeah. But yeah, so why were the titles, quote unquote, switched? I mean, I don't think we switched them, but.
I mean, again, I really do appreciate the question, and if you have any further ones, please just send them right along to lastvideogamepodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at VGPodcamp, right? That's it?
Yep, that's the handle. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon, too. We answer questions on there.
We do, and if you want a link to the Patreon, you have to subscribe at least, what is the
$5 tier.
$5
tier to get the link to the Patreon. And do you want to address the Foxbane privileges thing? I don't really know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. That sounds like some kind of degenerate Smash player nonsense.
Wait, no, that's I kind of like that. That's kind of a good joke. I feel like that's pretty funny, actually.
Are you familiar? Somebody in the Smash community once came up with the gamer tag of Blue Eyes White Privilege, which is just.
This is political. We can't talk about this.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, we can't say. I'm gonna have to bleep that out.
Did you, by the way, Jackson, get a chance to watch the Evidence.zip Part 2?
Oh, you play Melee?
Oh wait, that was like a watchable thing. I read some of it.
It's not really watchable. No, it's not.
I thought it was a series of documents.
So he released a 136-page PDF as well as a 2.5-hour video.
It's a fucking movie.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Oh wow.
I'll send that to you, I guess, after this. It's a trip and a half. It's honestly, since then, that situation has not developed any kind of comedy further. It's
actually not funny at all.
No, it really is.
No, it's kind of sad at this point.
Guy made it's just kind of banned, and he's kind of in denial about it.
It's not a good look for anyone.
No.
Really. Is his... So he's a principled man, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I guess
he believes what he believes.
My question is, like, is he like the Martin Luther of Smash? Is this going to cause like a... Is there going to be like some divide? here?
No, I mean it's a hackneyed comparison at this point, but he literally is the QAnon of Smash.
Yeah.
Not Martin Luther, unfortunately.
Yeah, closer to Alex Jones than Martin Luther.
Yeah. We did kind of deserve. I mean, they.
Right, because we don't play children's party games.
Right. They kind of deserve it, right?
Yeah. Smash?
Yeah, I mean,
Smash
don't.
people? People who play Smash?
Well, it's Melee players specifically. I mean, we here on the Last Video Game Podcast are Smash Ultimate players competitively on Wi-Fi. So
no, go.
I'm a Kirby main.
Speak for yourself. I mainly just play like Call of Duty, Madden. Yeah. I just kind of like to chill with some natty lights and play video games on the weekend. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Jackson, did you play any video games recently? Like in the last week?
Yeah,
you could say no.
No, you know what? I've been obsessively playing The Binding of Isaac in between.
Oh, I think your audio's.
Yeah.
Am I
Try
on
it
or
again.
am I fucked up?
Sort of, a little better.
What's going on?
Okay, there we go.
Try it now. Yeah,
Okay.
see what happens.
So I've been playing The Binding of Isaac pretty regularly over the last few months now, actually, and I find it is it's got a lot of similarities to Yume Nikki, actually, which it's kind of fascinating. I didn't kind of expect that, but as I've continued to delve further, I honestly think The Binding of Isaac might just be Yume Nikki, but better.
Very
and yet
interesting.
Also worse in the sense that so the Yume Nikki, part of its allure is that it's informed by the persona of the man who made it, who is this kind of enigmatic figure. He doesn't really have a forward-facing persona at all. But the story he's telling is one of, this child with whom ostensibly he has no legitimate relationship to, who nonetheless has this kind of,
sadness,
ostensible kind of sadness, like psychotrauma, that kind of thing, that we must understand, Kikiyama as having some kind of relationship to, but obviously it's it's a somewhat alienated relationship.
This is a bit of a tangent from what was kind of a longer thought, but have you played Lisa the First?
Oh yeah, like the Yume Nikki fan game.
Yeah.
That
shit is fucked up. Like, it's kind of like what if Yume Nikki was just done insensitively.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. It is very just like aggressively dark.
Yeah. I don't know why anyone would ever want to... Like, it does its stuff well, I guess. It really does set a mood, but I just don't know why anyone would ever want that. Sorry.
I think that's actually... That points to, like, the tonal distinction between the Yume Nikki and The Binding of Isaac, right? Because it's a similar kind of thing where you have this fellow who has a much more prominent public persona, making a game about a child who he has no ostensible relationship to, but ostensibly has some sense of relationship to the psychotraumas of his main character. But the way in which he depicts those traumas is a lot less tasteful. I mean, it's frankly like it's very obtuse, the way in which he's talking about these relationships to people's negative experiences of religious ideology and alienation in the face of parental neglect. Like the engagement with both what's his name, Edward McMullen or whatever. Yeah, and like his audience and the game's relationship to its own themes is a lot more explicit, a lot less subdued, and it feels weirdly a lot less artful, despite being significantly more game than Yume Nikki. And I feel like they both kind of say the same thing. At the end of the day, the thematic kind of thrust of the Binding of Isaac being that one can kind of ceaselessly engage the interior life, sort of to the detriment of everything else, which is, I think, the main kind of idea behind Yume Nikki too. But
I kind of feel like Yume Nikki really more than anything else is just a explorative game, right? It's just this idea of being able to get to know this kind of damaged individual and then seeing where that goes.
I think that's definitely true, but there is like, it's where that goes is really obviously negative. I think the same is essentially the point of the Binding of Isaac, and they're both motivated by an aggressive relationship to an isolated interior life.
See, this is where, like, I really wish... I feel like Omori very much, like, eclipsed this at one point, of really capturing this idea of alienation and inner life, but it just fucking sliced it so hard. It just, put the wrong kind of spin on the ball.
Where in Omori do you think that it actually succeeded?
I think, in that dimension, I think just the welcome to white space, you've been here as long as you can, that imagery is very powerful, I think. Simple, but I think it's well done. The problem is it's not reinforced on any level at all in the game. You very clearly do not spend all your time there because you go around doing other shit all the time. That's the whole game.
Yeah, you don't spend very much time in white space at all, actually. Spend a lot more time with the dream world and even in like the real world, right?
Right.
You think Omori was like a reworking of Bob's game?
I was thinking about Bob's game the other day. That game is just the story behind it. That's what it's called, right? The thing where the guy like lost his mind.
Yeah, that's the one. I feel like almost. So Bob's game was a game to be released.
What's the quote? He has a really good quote of it. It's like a game that makes itself as you play it, or something.
That's cool.
Sorry, keep going.
Before independent development had the kind of allure that it does now, in the sense that like there weren't any like rock stars of independent development. This guy independently developed a video game, self-titled, which is to say named after himself. He spent like 8 years.
Bob.
Yeah, dude's name is Bob.
Let's just spell it out there for the audience.
Here's the thing: our audience is really stupid. So
really,
please.
they listen to us, so they're
yeah.
dumb as fuck.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay.
So for the people who don't know, Bob was a crazy man who had an obsessive relationship to the brand that is Nintendo. So he was convinced both of the kind of unique quality of this game that he'd been developing for 8 years, and also of its need to be on a Nintendo console. And so he
specifically, I thought, wasn't it specifically the Nintendo DS?
It was the DS, yeah.
So just before we go any further, I just want to give a quick pitch on Bob's game. So here's the thing. Bob's game is more than just a game. It is a living work of art. A decade-long art project that spans websites, consoles, videos, musics, books, alternate realities, and real-life events. It is a game within a game about the development of itself in real time, paralleled with a real-life tournament to coincide with the virtual. Bob's game blends the line between reality and simulation, and reality and extra-dimensional reality. It breaks both the so-called fourth wall, and further yet, the fifth wall, unlocking the secrets of the Matrix, or the womb, as it is referred to in some sections of the Bible.
So it's just Pokemon.
I think there were elements of monster capturing, but I think the monsters were as much inside you as they were sort of realized in the external world. I think one of the working titles for Bob's game was Legend of Zeldrug, to kind of give you a sense of the maturity of the themes that it was approaching and the mature manner in which it was approaching them.
So what does this have to do with Omori?
So at one point, I believe the developer wanted to acquire a development kit for the Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
As Jackson said, like it was really important to get the game on DS, and so
It's a good console.
tried really hard to get a development kit, and then decided to protest by locking himself in a van or in his room for 100 days until he got the development kit.
Which he didn't get. He also went to Nintendo World and like filmed himself like putting, actually in a manner not dissimilar to Christian painting Sonic's arms blue. He went to Nintendo World and brought like copies, he brought like bootleg copies of Bob's game on the shelf.
That rules.
Man. And anyway. What this has to do with Omori is that it's almost certainly the case that Bob's game simply is Omori, and Omori simply is Bob's game. It's my understanding that OmoCat actually hired Bob early on in the development of Omori. And if you track the history of Omori's development, it coincides extremely well with Bob's disappearance from the public eye. I think also the fact that it took so long to develop has a lot to do with the kind of sprite reworking of Bob's game to kind of more accurately fit OmoCat's aesthetic.
I mean, that's just not... Okay, I'm going to be the voice of reason here. What? No, I mean... Is that real? Because that sounds really ridiculous. Because I mean, this person, Bob from Bob's game, doesn't seem like a real person.
Oh, he's a real man.
And
he's real.
Yeah, but I don't think. Like, how would someone even find him and be like, hey, do you want to turn your video game into Omori? And then listen, I don't know Bob personally, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would give up on his game and make something like Omori.
But consider the themes of Omori.
Go ahead.
No, just consider like the focus of Omori. You know, it's about moving beyond or attempting to move beyond kind of hysterical traumas. Yeah, I think so. Being haunted by like a traumatic past and whether or not you're kind of like responsible for it. Like that. I think Bob took his experience and sort of artistically infused it into this narrative about accidentally feeling immense guilt about it for years to the point where you
spoilers. I don't know if we're. I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
Who
I'll
cares?
put a warning in.
Do people truly play video games for the story? I mean, my impression is that.
Yeah.
What other reason would you play Omori other than for the video game?
Well, that was.
I mean, sorry, for the story.
I don't want to move on to dissing Omori. I'm really. So like, okay, so how did you come up with? How did you find out that somebody else had come up with this theory? Because I'm assuming this isn't your own theory.
This is my own theory. This is 100%.
Okay, how did you come up with this?
I just think the facts all sort of blatantly point to it.
Is this a bit? I don't know if this is
so the angle that I was thinking of taking is that Bob's game is a more profound and interesting reflection on loneliness and alienation than Omori is.
Yeah.
Because
that's
I
an
think
excellent point.
Yeah.
Because it's like a real story, right? Of loneliness and isolation and mental illness, right? Bob's game is that.
Just the story of the development is much more interesting than anything that happens in Omori.
Yeah, I agree, because this is fascinating, and also I don't have to go through 20 hours of bad JRPG gameplay to get to it, so I just read the Wikipedia article.
I mean, it's very much a never be game over situation in the sense that the game, so to speak, is your relationship to the persona of Bob as his internet figure. So, in a sense, Bob's game really is probably better than Yume Nikki, Omori, Metal Gear Solid V, The Phantom Pain. It's just clearly more articulate, kind of, reworkings of the same ideas.
I just really think, like, if you guys, any of you listeners want a fun time, just look up the Bob's Game Kickstarter page. It has some of the most compelling copy you'll read almost anywhere. Bob's Game
on Patreon too.
Actually alters reality itself for those who play it. It is a key into another dimension. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that like all media, right? Like all media changes, or all good media, like it somehow changes your perceptions of the real world. So that's not even that crazy of a claim.
I don't know. I think video games are uniquely situated to be completely empty. I think they might be actually some of the most life-denying things possibly devised. But Bob's Game sounds like perhaps not.
Yeah. So do you think video games are just like the dopamine hit and that's it?
I think video games straddle the line between sort of Brechtian analysis of culture through forms and kind of Rand Corp military strategy and visions of the world ripped through.
So, as someone who
mechanics.
understands what you just said,
Yeah,
are video games more evil than TV?
That's a tough one. Honestly, probably yes. I mean, they're either more. They're certainly more affecting than television in a way that is.
Wait,
like,
but why are they
kind of-
evil?
Because they were Brechtian analysis of forms, dude. Were you
No,
even listening?
but stop. But use like words.
Okay, so okay. I don't think Brecht is evil.
Oh, I think you're cutting out.
Try again. Yeah.
I don't think Brecht is evil. Brecht is not evil.
You have to rewind like 15 seconds and just go from there.
Am I still cutting out?
There we
You're
go.
good
You're back.
Okay. No, I don't think Brecht.
Breath? Like
Thank
breathing?
you for clarifying that. I think some of our listeners are probably pretty concerned about that.
I'm lost.
Streamo, you said that the evil component was
Oh, the Brechtian analysis.
was the Brechtian analysis. I think what is evil about it is that it is taking these military simulations and kind of. I mean, it is probably, as you say, more about the dopamine shit. These complex toys installed on what are basically complex filing cabinets.
Yeah, but it's not like inherently a bad thing, right? I mean, recreation isn't bad.
No, I don't think recreation is bad, but I do think there's definitely something kind of like onanistic and empty about most of them as like objects.
Have you ever heard the saying 90% of everything is shit?
Yeah, it
So
just
I'm
sounds like you
curious-
play bad games. So
Yeah.
No, man, because my favorite game is Metal Gear Solid V. I don't think there's.
that's true.
I think that's a real objective standard. Both.
Right. I mean, yeah, another thing to be
quality
like
and
the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim or Out of the Park Baseball 2022.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and interject with a backlog review of the week.
Oh, okay. Wait, no, I'm not done. I guess
sorry.
we could
No,
stop.
go ahead.
We should stop. No.
Okay.
No. we don't need
So
to do
this review, I guess I will not name who it's from because that's bullying or something.
No, you can.
Okay, so this is by Rom7, and it's about it's a review of Binding of Isaac Repentance. Rom7 has a Chug Jug with You avatar.
Oh, cool. I like this guy.
Great song. The amount of content this expansion brings to the game is massive. I'm talking your mom kind of massive. A fuck ton of bosses, enemies, and new items, 2 new routes with their respective final bosses, endings and floors, 2 new characters, 17 alternate versions of all of them, 17, and new music tracks. The new hard mode also makes the game actually hard. The only downside I can think of is that they nerfed a lot of great items, which makes picking them up not that interesting anymore, but you eventually forget about it in the great scheme of things. It's fun as fuck, and a must-get if you are a fan of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's an itemized list of why he likes it. I mean, there 17 new pieces of content.
I threw a like his way. I tell you what, though, if you are a fan of the game already, I feel like you probably would have bought it already. So, not a very helpful review.
Yeah. Okay. That just seems like a 14-year-old wrote that. And it's like, dude, there's so much.
Your mom kind of asked.
No, that was funny. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's sort of going back to the video games are evil thing, right? And it's that person is listing this work of art as a commodity to be broken out into pieces of content which you can consume.
Right. I mean, yeah, honestly, I don't necessarily think video games are evil as much as I think that the way in which we commoditize and consume culture is kind of evil. The way that video games become a list to keep track of the things that you've accomplished, so that you can have one more bigger number on your play list.
Well, this is interesting because you guys are playing into that through this, like, through the fact of, you know, attempting to bring some attention to backlog. I don't know if you're like making fun of this site or engaging with it seriously.
It's fascinating. No, backlog is amazing.
But like, I guess my question would then be like, how do you approach games in a way that doesn't kind of ultimately commoditize them? You know, how do you sincerely engage with something outside of that mode?
Yeah. Okay. So when I play a video game, right, I am concerned with having fun, primarily. So I've been playing through Celeste: Crown of the Magister, which is, I think, a bad video game, but it's fun. You know, I'm having a good time, and it doesn't need to be anything more than that. And I also don't feel the need to like go through every single video game and play them all and determine which one is the most fun. I'm pretty content just playing something and having fun with it.
I kind of look at video games for a unique experience, or for something enjoyable. I think part of what makes part of why we were very skeptical of your take on A Short Hike is because, regardless of the merits of the underlying message of the game or whatever, I guess it's a good toy.
Yeah, it's fun. Play with it for a couple hours.
Yeah, you pick it up, you get to fly around a little bit. Honestly, my take on it was that somebody played Breath of the Wild and was like, I should make a game out of the gliding mechanic, and then just kind of did that.
I don't think every work of art needs to exist in the grander like scheme of what it means to be alive. I think it's okay to just like consume something and let it go.
I mean, I don't think Death Stranding would have been as good had it just been about delivering packages.
Well, no, I mean some things definitely can be bigger than that. But I mean, if someone wants to make something that's just like stupid and fun, like I'm on board for that.
But on that note, definitely plugging official last video game podcast plug. Get No More Heroes 3 when it comes out in August. Pick up the Silver Case 2425 when it comes out in early July. Spectacular games.
Can you tell me why No More Heroes Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes Complete Edition is not part of the Steam Summer Sale? Can you answer that?
Yes, I can, because the video game development scene in Japan is not a huge fan of PCs, as I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So they're, shooting themselves in the foot, so to speak.
Follow-up question, when will it be on sale?
Probably never. You should buy it now.
It's $40, dude.
It is $40. Yeah, it's worth it, though. It's so much fun.
Why is it saying it's similar to Warhammer Vermintide 2?
Because Steam Store is very poorly done.
Yeah, it's also saying it's similar to Nier.
Yeah, I was seeing that. Apparently it's similar to Grand Theft Auto 5. So that's cool.
Because they're both video games. They're both action, violent games with comedy. Those are some tags. Do you think it's a comedy game? Did you
absolutely.
When you played Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes Complete Edition?
I actually did, unironically, yes. There are very funny parts.
Probably not as funny as Disco Elysium.
It is funnier than Disco Elysium, I'll say that now. Yeah, well...
Jackson, have you played Disco Elysium?
Yeah, that game rocks.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it does.
Do
Do you know Stream Mode doesn't like it? Like, he actually hates it. He played like 2 hours and hated it.
I heard you were not fond of its, like, writing.
So I played like several hours of it, and I was like, this game isn't for me. Then I kind of moved on from it. And then since then, I've been told by a number of people that it is absolutely for me. I would love it, and it'd be a ton of fun.
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane that you don't like it.
Yeah, so since then, I've just been kind of more and more resenting the game and the discourse around it. And I might end up doing a spite playthrough of it just to kind of vindicate myself. But I hope I don't, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you do like the game. I think that's it, and you're...
See, the thing is, people talk a lot about how the game has great prose or great writing, and I legitimately do not understand what that means in the context of a video game. What is good writing for a video game? It's
not. No, I don't think the prose is what... Sorry to be sincere about this. I don't think the prose is what people are focusing on when they say it is.
I have unironically seen people say that Disco Elysium has great
ignore them.
prose.
Don't argue with those
people.
That
is something that
prose
makes
isn't real.
out. It's the stupidest shit ever.
It's the prose is not what does it. I think the fact of it's like when you're talking about games, it's like the quality of a game is determined like by its form, right? So it's like dialogue trees and shit, as much as it is about like the content of people's speech. But that cannot, that doesn't just mean like florid prose. Sometimes it means like apt and appropriate language for a setting.
And honestly, it might even just be something as simple as I don't like the way that you have to navigate through the world. I don't like having the click navigation.
You can play with a controller.
Can you?
I think it's coming out on Switch too.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I might get it for Switch. Are you gonna get Outer Wilds when it comes out on Switch, Jackson?
Oh hell yeah! I haven't played it, but I've wanted to.
It's a spectacular game.
Yeah.
What about Out of the Park Baseball 2022? I took an expansion team. The game starts in 2021, and I edited the league to have 2 expansion teams, one in the American League and one in the National League. And I became the general manager of the American League team, and we won the World Series actually in 2025. So that's pretty good to go from expansion team to winning the World Series in 5 years. You don't really
wow, that's pretty impressive. I
don't see that.
Yeah.
I did good trades. I signed Alex. So Alex Bregman was a free agent going into 2024. So I signed him because we had a whole we didn't really have a power right-handed bat, so I signed him to a 6-year deal for $28 million a year. And he sort of really hold up the 3 and 4 slots in our offense because I traded for Tristan Casas early on, but he wasn't really
So Jackson, do you have any closing thoughts on video games, Yume Nikki, Dark Souls, etc.?
I truly don't. I was actually completely enamored with the baseball talk.
I can keep going if you want.
Whatever works. Whatever works.
So, all right, well, that's all from us here at the Last Video Game Podcast. Please access the Patreon link that we have so easily accessible and give us money.
So the issue is Tristan Casas was striking out too much. He wasn't putting the ball in play. He had a 282 LBP in 2024. I mean, he was hitting for power. Not great defensively at first base.